Hi everyone, I'm joined today by Jon Rowe, who's from Staffordshire Wildlife Trust, and we're going to be talking about climate risk and adaptation in landscape recovery. Jon, so do you want to just introduce yourself and tell me a little bit about your role at Staffordshire?
My role is to manage the northern sites, the northern moorland sites for Staffordshire Wildlife Trust. So I have responsibility for our largest site, which is the Roaches. And the Roaches actually directly links up with our second largest Black Brook Nature Reserve as well. So the Roaches is around 395 hectares and Black Brook is around 121 hectares. So it's quite a large area of joined up habitat that we manage up here.
Can you, for people who may not know the Roaches that well, do you just want to describe what they're like in a few words and why they're so special and the type of wildlife you get there as well?
It's a mixture of moorland, blanket bog and woodland. We've got rivers and brooks flowing through the site as well. It's quite a complex mosaic of all the different habitats and some quite important areas in between those habitats like woodland fringe and those sorts of areas as well.
Well, it's an absolutely stunning area and a really beautiful place to go walking, but obviously quite vulnerable as well. And do you want to tell us a little bit about maybe some of the experiences you've had over the last few years in terms of dealing with extreme weather and what we would now call sort of climate change risks affecting the Roaches?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the major experience we've had with climate change is that driest summer since 1976 that we had in 2018. The biggest issue that we suffered that year was the fire of 2018. Which burnt for nearly a whole month. There was areas burning, and we lost 60 hectares of habitat. So that's what the biggest impact that we've seen here in terms of climate change is that impact associated with that extreme drying from extreme summers, and then associated with that the wetter winters that we're going to get going forward as well. Yeah. Washing away, any exposed peat, areas of exposed peat is just going to be exacerbated and washed away. A
lot of people still sort of recognise climate change as an issue that's happening somewhere else and maybe happening more in developing countries, and it's not impacting on the UK. But actually, it really is, and wildfire in particular is a growing risk. And could you talk a little bit about how you felt about dealing with that, and also maybe some of the measures that you took as well?
I've never seen anything like it in my life. I've never seen flames coming along the ground floor, then to travel up trees. These are things I've only seen in pictures before, in video that you see happening in other countries. But to see it happen here, and then to see whole trees exploding in flames at the top of the ridge before the fire then travelled across the footpath and down a moor. It was travelling at 5 meters a minute, which is a phenomenal speed. And the wind it was so big, it was almost, it's creating its own energy. It was creating huge plumes of smoke, really horrible smoke, which made things really difficult to that situation.
Yeah, and I should say, we've seen from the observations that the area being affected by wildfire has increased year on year over the last 6 or 7 years. And in the latest UK climate change risk assessment, we see that even in a 2-degree level of global warming, we'd expect the risk to double nationally. So we are expecting these conditions to become more prevalent. And can you say a little bit then about what you did both to sort of contain the fire, if you can even contain a fire like that, and also maybe some of the measures you've taken since then to try and reduce the vulnerability of the area to wildfire as well?
Absolutely. So obviously, during the fire, we just threw all the resources that we could at it. We have insurance to cover us in case of wildfire. We were able to get a helicopter to assist with the firefighting. We sit on something called the Fire Operations Group, where major landowners discuss wildfire and how we tackle it, the causes of wildfire and how we prevent wildfire. As part of that group, partner organisations like the Peak District National Park were fantastic. They brought their soft track machine over to come and help us fight the fire. We hired in machinery, another soft track. We brought in contractors to to assist in that firefighting as well. And the fire was brought under control eventually with the help of a tractor driver who we got in to cut emergency fire breaks for us, which kind of won the day for us, really, to cut those fire breaks.
How long would you say it takes a landscape like this to recover, and can you see signs of progress now and in how it looks?
Yeah, I mean, we can see signs of progress. So it's going to take a long time for it to recover. Where we've put in stone dams, which we put over 400 stone dams in after the fire. So it's basically the big filters, and they also slow the rush of water off the hill, because we were seeing everything would have just rushed down and be in Cheshire by now. And maybe even into the sea. So that was our first intervention, and we've seen really good progress on those. They've really backfilled, and now we're seeing those recover with cotton grasses. So it's starting to change. You can see patches of blanket bog coming back. We planted over 100,000 sphagnum moss plugs, and these are helping the recovery as well. So they'll help to colonize the bare peat and to also create the ecosystem that we need. They'll help to hold water back, holding up to 16 to 26 times their own weight in water. They'll help to create habitat for blanket bog vegetation as well. So, but
it sounds like you are doing adaptation and action. You are up there and improving the resilience of the roaches to wildfire in particular. Do you feel that there are other measures you'd like to take, but you need more government support or more resources to be able to do as well? Yeah,
I mean, with these, there's a lot of damaged peatlands in the uplands. There's a lot of uplands that have been overgrazed, or, for instance, management techniques like burning on deep peat. I know they've brought in a ban on burning on deep peat, but we're still burning on peat, which is, shallow peat is just as important as deep peat. And if anything, shallow peat is just as vulnerable, if not more, to drying. They can store a huge amount of carbon once restored. So it's important that we restore them so they stop losing carbon into the atmosphere, but so that they can start storing carbon. And that's one of the reasons we planted the sphagnum moss species, is not just to store water, but so we can re-establish that cycle of storing carbon and building future peats for the future.
Yeah, this is a real story about letting nature help to address the climate crisis, as well as protecting our natural assets from climate change, isn't it, with peatlands?
That's what we need to do to build resilience into the landscape.
Fantastic. Thank you ever so much.